Why, hello there, folks. This is Admiral Revan speaking, and this is the brand new version of my Midway video. Now, I've done this a while ago for the Midway video, and I was looking back at it, and I said to myself, "Ooh, this needs to be updated and changed." So, my friends, this is a Tier 10 American aircraft carrier that you can get from the tech tree. And basically, it's a fantastic American aircraft carrier with a lot of good dive bombers, as well as torpedo bombers and rocket planes. And pretty much, with this aircraft carrier, it is the best HE aircraft carrier for the Americans. And pretty much it's a good rival aircraft carrier to the Japanese Hakuru. And basically, when you're going up against other aircraft carriers like the Audacious and Richthofen, Max Element, even the Soviets aircraft carriers now, the Midway is still a very good aircraft carrier all around. It's got a lot of anti-aircraft defense as well as secondary guns and a few other things about it that I will go in more detail. So basically you got three types of aircraft. You got dive bombers, torpedo bombers, and also attack aircraft. And they all start off with a squadron each, and basically they do a lot of damage. Pretty much, aircraft carriers have been nerfed buff over the time in World of Warships. Yes, I know. But the thing is that then this aircraft carrier has been generally pretty good for what it's worth. And I have to admit, as an aircraft carrier player for a while now in World of Warships, I find that the American aircraft carrier is still a good rival aircraft carrier to play with in comparison to, say, playing the FDR, which is the Franklin D. Roosevelt. Now, the Franklin D. Roosevelt aircraft carrier I'm referring to is a steel aircraft carrier, and I will show you what it looks like because, honestly, it is a pretty expensive aircraft carrier to acquire. But it's the same thing, it's American aircraft carrier. But this aircraft carrier is pretty, damn decent all around for what it's worth. And the planes and aircraft that it has on it's a lot stronger. And honestly, as I think about it, like what it's worth and everything, I just said to myself, well, if you're happy with the Midway, you'll be happy with getting the Franklin D. Roosevelt in the near future. Let's not worry about it too much. So, the Midway, as I said, can be acquired through the tech tree. Okay, so basically there's the American tech tree and there's the Midway there. It's a tier 10. And it takes a while to get it. Once you do get it, you'll love it. Now, let's talk more about why the Midway is good as it is. Okay, so basically the Midway is a very, very decent aircraft carrier all around for what it's worth. At the start, you basically have Corsair aircraft, Skyrider aircraft at the beginning with, but as you upgrade them, they'll have better damage and health pool and speed, etc. The one thing I learned about with aircraft carriers is that they need to have good modification, engine modification for them. Damage control part is not really needed at the first level, but secondary batteries is nice because you can actually look at the idea of brawling with this aircraft carrier at close range with your teammates. However, if you prefer to have better attack time with your aircraft of different kinds, that's how you would equip it. This one here, on the other hand, is that if you want to increase the health pool for your aircraft, specific aircraft that you want, it's actually pretty decent to have. Not a must-have, but it is optional. Flight Control Center, pardon me, the Flight Control Center modification is actually pretty nice for this, and in terms of recovery for the aircraft, it's actually pretty handy. One of the things I've noticed is that if you increase the health pool for all the aircraft, it's very handy. Flight control modification 2 is nice and nifty to have, but not really a must-have unless you want to experiment in it just to see how good it is. But I find an extra health pool on the aircraft that you need is much more beneficial. Then again, some people could argue that if you want to have extra damage for your bombs, for your dive bombers, um, extra 10% damage is pretty handy all around there too, as well. Secondary armored auxiliary armaments modification, it's debatable because I see the pros and cons of having more extra defense for your aircraft carrier. But at the same time, though, I mean, like the secondary's reload time is reduced a little bit, and that's fine. But hey, I mean, like each to its own. The commander skills are actually pretty basic. What I've done was that I actually looked at a basic 12-point captain, went with the basic recommendations, and pretty much I'm enjoying it so far. And honestly, eventually, as I've been finding that having extra protection on the aircraft for the armor side of things has been pretty handy to go up against any aircraft flyer. Then again, you can actually look at the idea of increasing the health pool if you want, but I prefer extra damage, and that's what I'm going to be working towards later on down the track. So since that's happening, I may as well talk about the general gameplay for this in a moment here. So the one thing I will stress out to you is that with the Midway, is that it's got good anti-aircraft guns, as well as like continuous damage. So just understand, take this into consideration that the Midway is a fairly decent aircraft carrier that you can use all round for general battles. And honestly, I like it, very, very much. So, alright, we'll show you a quick battle we did most recently. This is a battle that I've done most recently, and pretty much it is a ranked battle. Yes, ranked. An Islands of Ice battle. I have to admit, I mean, like, I wasn't too fairly confident when I was actually doing it the first time round, but as a lot of practice over the time and in duration of all my streams and everything, I decided, you know what, screw it, I might as well do this right. So, courage, duty, honor, hey? So, it took me a lot of courage to get this done, and it's fascinating, When I first played on this map, I was going like, what I'm going to do is an aircraft carrier. Aircraft carriers are meant for spotting and also support. So basically, I look at the initiative of checking out where my teammates are going on the map, and then said to myself, you know what? Okay, I might as well launch a squadron of fighter planes. So I launched my fighter planes and decided, to rule the skies. Now, honestly, this is a perfect opportunity for you to just, experiment of how you can aim on your targets. Now, see that gray circle in front of you? That's your target reticle of your rocket planes, and honestly, there's a little bit of a delay, like about 2 to 5 second delay in your aircraft before they aim and shoot on the target on the ground. Now, this takes a little bit of practice, so don't feel too bad. And look at that. Yay, we got somebody who loves CVs. Yeah, I love CVs too. Don't we all love CVs? I know. But this is actually pretty handy in the long run. Alright, so honestly, here I am just like scouting around the enemy towards the back end of C. And I noticed that I see that the Venetia's run from me. So I started targeting. And as you see, let my aircraft lift up in the air. I started targeting again and trying to hit Venetia, and obviously I missed. But that is the general gist of, practicing on how to aim with your rocket planes. Now, don't get me wrong, acceleration on the aircraft is pretty essential. As you notice that R is the turbo boost that you can use for it. and it's actually pretty handy. So you can target this reticle on the target, left click to target, left click again to start, and then pow. So honestly, the trouble with aircraft in general for World of Warships is learning how to aim and fire at the target. So that's alright. I mean, like, that's just normal. Alright, so here we are. We're going to have a bit of fun here. Alright, so we're moving in. Alright, so I'm doing a bit of spotting, and it's important for you to spot the target you're after. Why? It's a bit of a catch-22 because destroyers have good concealment, and same with cruisers as well. And you need to find out who is attacking who in the battlefield. As you can see, the Venetia is down there in front of me again. I decided to do a torp attack run, and I decided to deploy my torps, but I realized that, well, wait a minute, my torps are a bit too slow. I should have aimed a little bit further ahead of the Venetia. So that's okay. Because I had some planes left over, I went like, you know, before I do that, I'm going to deliberately attack this Republic and do the same thing again. That's the good thing about playing on the American aircraft carriers, is that you have multiple squadrons that you can deploy your planes on. Yes, it's argued that you can take into consideration here with the Soviet aircraft carriers, they have one point that I don't know if it's still the same case, but the T-10 aircraft carrier Nakhimov or Nakhimov or whatever it's called, that aircraft carrier has one squadron for fire planes for the rocket planes, and they fire all in one salvo, and then the planes return back to base. Take your pick on that one. But here I am with the dive bombers and decided to harass this gearing. Now the gearing, there's a pro and a con behind this. The thing is, when you're playing an aircraft carrier, you have to try your best to try and keep the enemy well spotted. And it's really important to do that, because if a destroyer is left you know, like alive a bit too long, they can do a lot of damage. And this is how you know, like, teamwork comes to play here. So the gearing's doing a good job of dodging, and then I scored a couple, well, just one incapacitation there, but it's more important for you to keep the enemy destroyer spotted as much as possible, as long as possible, before your squadron gets taken out. The next thing I would do is that I will launch in the next squadron planes, just to try and keep that ball well and good, you know, very busy. So honestly, there's a lot of opportunity here, room for improvement. So yeah, I just apologize to the Minotaur player just then, because like I tried to keep the destroyer side as long as possible, and unfortunately at this occasion I was unable to keep that destroyer in the visual for the Minotaur to take out. Minotaurs are very nasty, especially once they fire their guns rapidly at a certain target like a destroyer, and honestly that's the best way to do it. Oh, look out, there's a Venetia. So here I go, launching an attack run on the Venetia, going bow in towards it. And I love the effects of watching those aircraft get shot down. I really do. They have improved a fair bit. It's actually very nice. Now, honestly, the real tricky part here about playing aircraft is really along the lines of what you can and can't do, huh? So, it happens. Oh, look out. We're moving in. Yep, so my teammates are actually keeping ourselves busy. I'm trying to keep this Republic busy. He's actually hugged himself around the edge of the map. I decided to try and attack him, but I just overshot him big time there. And that's a shame. Alright. It's important to try and attack, with a mixture of everything. Having torpedo attack runs is actually very handy to do. And, it's important for you to mix them up and keep the enemy guessing. The enemy will always be guessing, no matter what you're doing. Because no matter how hard you're doing it, they're just gonna, in the end, just keep moving, and moving. So you gotta keep moving with them. Always, mix up your attack runs when you're doing it. Now, torpedo planes this is a bit of a tricky part. As you see, your arc is trying to shrink a little bit, but as you keep moving, it doesn't shrink, so that's a real pain. But it's important to, attack in different directions with your aircraft and torpedo attacking runs with your Midway, because it's important to keep the enemy distracted. And if you get them to show a perfect broadside to your ship's teammates, they can actually sit out the hell out of that ship and take it out. And that's, very, very handy. It's very good. As you can see, I'm hitting with a few torpedoes here and there, and that's actually good, like cause some flooding, and, I'm causing some damage. And this is good, this is why it's important to keep the enemy guessing at all times. Alright. Here we go, we're doing another attack run. Dive bomber attack. Dropped in bombs. Just scored a fire, that's not too bad, that's something. But you see, like, every little bit helps. And this is the good thing about, team coordination and gameplay. This gameplay is actually doing well. Looks like I'm trying to attack again. And the camera angle is definitely not good. Because the dive bomb attack in that area was actually pretty bad. So here I am again with a torpedo attack run. Yeah, but this is one good thing about the Midway. The Midway, if you aim it correctly on the targets, you can actually cause a lot of damage in this thing. Honestly, I've loved, learning and how to play CVs, because it's important to understand that even though they're not in clan battles all the time, it's important to understand how they work in random battles. And I would advise you strongly to do training rooms as well as co-op mode, so you can learn the basics of how to play the CV and understand them. But yeah, that's just pretty much in a nutshell of how to play CVs. Now, honestly, folks, it has been a very, very interesting opportunity for you to watch that. I'm sure you'll love that very, very much. But I'm hoping you will enjoy it, and I'm sure you will see it again in the near future. But yeah, folks, if you haven't checked out my social media links, please do so. But yes, definitely a big shout out to everyone out there. Thank you for your support and the community and everything for what you've been doing. And keep up the good work, folks, because we are taking it one day at a time in our journey. If you want to learn more how to play the Midway, feel free to ask, and we'll try and help you out as best we can.